everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
You know, we always try to bring you the most interesting stuff, and today is no exception.
That's it.
We're going to be taking a look at CES 2025.
Hmm.
And we've got a couple of really interesting sources to kind of look at it through different lenses, So
Yeah.
you've got the official CES website, of course, which is, kind of like the program or the brochure almost.
Right, the after show report.
Yeah, exactly. And then we've got something pretty interesting, actually.
Okay.
This is a proposed podcast outline from a company called Haptic R&D Consulting.
Interesting.
They're really interesting. Actually, they're all about helping businesses capitalize on emerging technology trends. So they saw CES as this, this gold mine of information, and they put together this whole podcast outline as a way to kind of like share their insights with their clients and potential clients, I guess.
So it's almost like we're getting two perspectives here.
Yeah.
We've got the CES overview, the facts and figures, and then we've got this business lens from Haptic.
Exactly. And I think that's going to be really interesting to see how those two kind of, maybe overlap, maybe clash.
Right.
So first things first, let's just talk about CES itself.
Okay.
This thing was massive. Over 141,000 attendees.
Wow.
Yeah, 4,500 exhibitors, over 6,000 media representatives.
It's like the whole world descends on Las Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what that tells you?
What's that?
That the tech world is still booming. This is where the future is being shaped and everybody wants to be a part of it.
You're right.
So what were some of the big themes this year?
Well, as you might expect, AI was everywhere.
Oh, of course.
But there was also this big emphasis on sustainability, which I think is really encouraging.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it seems like every company is talking about sustainability now, but it's more than just, a marketing gimmick.
Absolutely. It's becoming a core business principle, and I think that's a good thing.
Totally. And you know what else was really cool?
What's it?
Immersive technologies, VR, AR, the metaverse, all that stuff is getting so much more sophisticated, and it's not just about gaming anymore.
No, it's finding its way into healthcare, education, even industrial applications.
Exactly. And then, of course, you can't forget about robotics.
Right.
Robots are moving out of the factories and into our everyday lives, which is both exciting and maybe a little bit scary.
Definitely some interesting ethical questions there.
Yeah, we'll have to dive into that a bit later. But before we get too deep into the big picture stuff, let's talk about some actual products.
Okay, let's hear it.
So there were a few that really caught my eye.
I'm always up for some cool new gadgets.
Okay, so first up, the TOZO Golden X2 Pro headphones.
Ooh, tell me more.
These things are insane noise-canceling, AI-powered sound personalization. They learn your listening preferences and adjust the audio accordingly.
That sounds amazing. Sign me up.
Right, and then there was this really interesting air purifier from Calway.
Okay.
It's called the Smart Self-Cleaning Air Purifier, and it's all about, clean air, sustainability, very cool design.
So they're really pushing that sustainability angle.
Yeah, and you know what else is interesting?
What?
The Samsung Galaxy Tab S10 series.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
I mean, we all know Samsung makes great tablets, but this one is supposed to have some crazy new features for interacting with the metaverse. I'm talking next level stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So those are just a few of the products that kind of, jumped out at me, but I'm curious to hear what Haptic thinks about all this.
Well, from their perspective, they see CES as this preview of the future of business.
Right.
They're looking at these trends and trying to figure out how companies can make money from them.
So they're kind of translating the tech into business opportunities.
Exactly. And they're breaking it down by industry too, like healthcare, smart cities, automotive. They're basically saying, hey, this is where the money's going to be made if you're smart.
I love that perspective because it's so practical,
It is. And you know what else I appreciate about their approach?
What's that?
They're not afraid to talk about the challenges.
Oh, yeah. They're not sugarcoating anything.
No, they're calling out the potential pitfalls like ethical AI, market saturation, integration hurdles, all that stuff.
And that's important because it's easy to get caught up in the hype,
Right. We need to be realistic about the challenges as well as the opportunities.
Totally. So what are some of the ways that Haptic is actually helping businesses, take advantage of these trends?
Well, one of their big things is this idea of tech scouting.
Tech scouting?
Yeah, it's basically like they go out and find the best technologies for their clients' needs, kind of like a talent scout, but for technology.
Oh, I see. So they're like matchmakers connecting businesses with the right tech.
Exactly. And then they also do something called innovation transfer, which is like helping companies take those cool CES prototypes and actually turn them into real-world products or services.
Oh, so they're like the bridge between the innovation and the implementation.
Exactly. And they also do strategic road mapping, sustainability solutions. They've got a whole suite of services to help businesses navigate this complex landscape.
That's amazing. I mean, it sounds like they're really on top of their game.
Yeah, they seem to have a pretty good grasp of what's coming next and how businesses can prepare for it.
Okay, so we've got this great overview of CES from the website, and then we've got Haptic's take on the business side of things. But here's what I'm curious about.
I'm listening.
How do those specific products, like those TOZO headphones or the Kiowa air purifier, how do those actually reflect the trends that Haptic is talking about?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's like we need to connect the dots.
Exactly. And I think that's what we're going to try to do in the next part of our deep dive.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay, so we've got the CES overview, that big picture of all the cool new tech, and then we've got Haptic looking at it through their business lens.
Yeah, they're all about turning those trends into actual strategies.
Yeah. Right, so let's dig into how they actually approach this whole thing.
Well, their proposed podcast outline gives us some clues.
Okay, so what are they focusing on?
Well, those big four themes. We talked about AI, sustainability, immersive technologies, and robotics.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, those were definitely the big buzzwords at CES.
But they don't just stop there.
Oh, really?
No, they actually drill down into specific sectors, like healthcare, smart cities, automotive.
So they're not just talking about the tech in general.
No, they're looking at how these trends are going to impact specific industries.
That's smart because it helps businesses see, where the opportunities are.
Exactly. It's like they're mapping out the future of entire industries.
Okay, but remember, they also highlighted some major challenges.
Oh, yeah. They weren't afraid to point out the potential pitfalls.
Right, like ethical AI, market saturation, integration hurdles, all that stuff.
Exactly. Let's unpack those a little bit, starting with ethical AI.
Okay, so what does that even mean for a business?
Well, you got to think about it like this. AI algorithms are trained on massive data sets.
Right. Huge amounts of data.
And if those data sets reflect existing biases,
Okay.
then the AI is going to inherit those biases.
Oh, so it's like garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. And that can lead to some really unfair outcomes, especially in areas like hiring or loan approvals, where AI is being used more and more to make decisions.
That's kind of scary, actually.
It is. And that's why Haptic is emphasizing responsible implementation.
So they're not just saying, hey, use AI and don't worry about the consequences.
No, they're talking about ethical guidelines,
Okay.
global standards, all that stuff.
That's good to hear because it seems like a lot of companies are just kind of rushing into AI without really thinking about the implications.
Yeah, it's a powerful tool and needs to be used responsibly.
Okay, what about market saturation?
Ah, yes. The classic problem of too much of a good thing.
Right. It seems like every company is jumping on the AI and smart device bandwagon these days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that creates a lot of competition.
So how do you stand out in a sea of gadgets?
That's the million-dollar question. And Haptics suggests that companies need to find their unique angle,
Like what makes their product or service different from all the others?
Exactly. They need to offer something that nobody else can.
It's like you're at CES and you're walking past a row of smart air purifiers.
Right. They all basically do the same thing.
So how do you convince someone to buy yours?
You got to tell a story. You got to connect with people on an emotional level.
So it's not enough to just have the best tech.
No. You got to make people care.
Okay, and finally, those integration headaches.
Ah, yes. The joys of trying to make all this new tech work with your existing systems.
I bet that can be a nightmare.
It can be like, imagine renovating a house.
Okay.
You can't just slap on a new facade and call it a day.
You got to make sure the foundation is solid.
Exactly. And that's what Haptic is talking about when they talk about integration hurdles.
So companies need to make sure their infrastructure is up to snuff.
Absolutely. It might mean upgrading their systems, retraining their employees, even completely rethinking their workflows.
So it's not just about buying the latest gadgets.
No, it's about making sure you can actually use them effectively.
Okay, so a company is excited about all these CES trends, but they're feeling a little overwhelmed.
Right? It can be a lot to take in.
What would you advise them to do?
Well, I think Haptic's approach offers a pretty good roadmap.
Okay, I'm listening.
First of all, don't chase every trend. Figure out which technologies actually align with your business goals.
So be strategic.
Exactly what problems are you trying to solve for your customers?
Right, focus on the needs of your customers.
And then think about how you can use these technologies to create real-world solutions.
Don't just innovate for the sake of innovation.
Exactly. Make sure it translates into something your customers actually want and need.
Practical application, that's key.
And finally, don't underestimate the importance of planning.
Okay.
Integrating these technologies into your business is a complex process.
So you need a plan.
You need a clear roadmap, a skilled team, and the willingness to adapt as you go.
It's like embarking on a journey.
Exactly. You need a map, a compass, and the flexibility to adjust your course along the way.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the business side of things, but let's shift gears for a moment.
Yeah.
And think about the human element. What are the implications of all this for consumers, workers, society as a whole?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah, we can't just focus on the cool factor or the potential profits.
We need to consider the broader impact of these technologies on our lives, our communities, our planet.
We're talking about shaping the future.
Exactly. And that requires a thoughtful, holistic approach. We need to be asking ourselves tough questions about the ethical implications, the potential risks, the long-term consequences.
So it's not just about the technology itself.
No, it's about how we choose to use it and what kind of future we want to create with it.
That's a powerful thought, and I think that's a perfect segue into the final part of our deep dive.
Okay, I'm ready.
We're going to be looking at the potential societal impacts of these CES trends and how they might change the world as we know it, so stick around. Welcome back to the show. We've covered a lot of ground, from the glitz and glam of CES to the strategic thinking of companies like Haptic. But now it's time to tackle the big question.
The elephant in the room.
Exactly what kind of future are we building with all this tech?
Yeah, it's the question that really matters.
We talked about AI, sustainability, immersive technologies, and robotics. Each one has the potential to reshape the world as we know it. So let's start with AI, shall we?
Okay.
It's already transforming so many industries, but it also raises some serious concerns. Like, remember we talked about those potential job losses?
Right. As AI becomes more sophisticated, it can automate tasks that were once done by humans, which is, both exciting and a bit scary.
It is. I mean, think about self-driving cars, for example.
Yeah, that's a great example. AI could revolutionize transportation, making it safer and more efficient, but it could also displace millions of truck drivers and taxi drivers.
That's a huge shift.
And it's just one example of how AI could disrupt the workforce.
So what can we do about it? I mean, are we just doomed to be replaced by robots?
I wouldn't say doomed. It's more about adaptation.
Okay, so what does that look like?
We need to focus on education and training, helping people develop the skills they need to thrive in a future where AI is ubiquitous.
Right, so it's about learning to work alongside AI, not competing with it.
Exactly. It's about embracing the opportunities while mitigating the risks.
So beyond the workplace, what about the broader societal impact of AI?
Well, that's where things get really interesting, I think.
Yeah.
AI has the potential to solve some of the world's most pressing problems.
Like?
Climate change, disease, poverty, you name it.
Wow, so it's not all doom and gloom.
Not at all. Imagine AI-powered systems that can optimize energy consumption, develop personalized medical treatments, or even predict and prevent natural disasters.
That's incredible, but with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Absolutely. We need to be very careful about how we develop and deploy AI. We need to ensure that it's used ethically, fairly, and transparently.
So it's not just about the technology itself.
No, it's about the values that guide its development and use.
Makes sense. Okay, so let's move on to sustainability.
Yeah, this is a big theme at CES, as we talked about.
It seems like every company is jumping on the green bandwagon.
And it's about time, right?
For sure. I mean, we only have one planet.
Exactly. And the good news is that technology can play a major role in creating a more sustainable future.
So what are some of the most promising innovations in this area?
We saw a lot of cool stuff at CES, from energy-efficient appliances to electric vehicles to smart grids that can optimize energy consumption.
It seems like we're finally starting to make some progress.
We are, but we need to keep pushing the boundaries. We need to move beyond just reducing our environmental impact to creating a truly circular economy.
So it's not just about doing less harm?
No, it's about actively restoring and regenerating the planet.
That's ambitious.
But it's necessary.
All right, let's shift gears again and talk about immersive technologies.
Ah, yes, the metaverse.
AR and VR are becoming so incredibly realistic these days, it's mind-blowing.
It really is. And the potential applications are endless. Think about education. Imagine students being able to experience history firsthand through VR or explore the human body in 3D.
Or healthcare professionals being able to use AR to visualize patient data during surgery.
Exactly. The possibilities are really exciting.
But there are always two sides to the coin. What about the potential downsides of these technologies?
Well, one concern is the potential for addiction and isolation. If we're spending all our time in virtual worlds, are we neglecting our real-world relationships?
That's a good point. And what about the potential for manipulation? I mean, if these technologies can create such realistic experiences, could they be used to influence our thoughts and behaviors?
It's definitely something to be aware of. We need to develop safeguards to ensure that these technologies are used responsibly.
Okay, and finally, let's talk about robotics.
Robots are becoming increasingly sophisticated and integrated into our lives.
It's amazing to see how far they've come from those clunky industrial robots to the sleek humanoid robots we're seeing today.
And the pace of innovation is only accelerating.
So, what does the future hold for robotics?
Well, we can expect to see robots playing an even greater role in our lives, assisting us with tasks, providing companionship, and even enhancing our abilities.
That's pretty wild.
Uh,
But are there any risks associated with this increasing reliance on robots?
of course, we need to be mindful of the potential for job displacement as robots become capable of performing more and more tasks. And we need to ensure that robots are designed and used in ways that are safe, ethical, and beneficial to society.
It's like we're entering uncharted territory.
We are, and it's up to us to navigate this new landscape wisely.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the key takeaway? What do you hope our listeners will remember?
I think the most important thing is that the future is not predetermined. It's shaped by the choices we make today.
So we have agency.
Exactly. We have the power to decide what kind of future we want to create.
And that's a powerful message. So, to our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope it sparked some thought provoking conversations and inspired you to think critically about the role of technology in our lives. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of innovation and its impact on our world.